Hi everybody, Alan Kenny here with Drum Talk TV. Before we roll the footage of Ray, let's get down the line real quick.
Oh hey Alan, what's happening?
Hey Dan, I just wanted to ask you about the footage. There should have been two cameras there, one of with me and Ray and a second camera angle. I wonder what happened.
Yeah, that's right. That's all we got from you guys was the footage of Ray from the Ray Luzier interview.
But there should have been two camera angles. I just wonder what happened to the second camera.
I don't know, Alan, but hey, the interview came out great. Great shot of Ray talking about all the... Well, they'll see in the interview right now. Oh, well, look. The derby with a four-leaf clover, Alan.
Oh.
Check it out. It's like for good luck. Here's Ray. With Alan, sort of.
Hi everybody, welcome to Drum Talk TV. My name is Alan Kenny, and I have here with me Mr. Ray Luzier from Korn.
What's up, man?
Pleasure to have you.
It's good to be here.
Now let's start off with you. Everyone knows you are from Korn, of course, but you also Army of Anyone, Goated,
Wow.
Insidious, Sun Demons,
Yeah, nice.
and of course David Lee Roth.
Yeah, that guy. He's something else. He's
Yeah.
awesome. One of the world's best frontmen and very eccentric human being. He's awesome. Taught me a lot. I call it the School of Roth. Because it was like, Dave taught me how to be an entertainer. Don't
Right.
just play drums. You're entertaining, whether it's 20 people or 20,000 people, put on a show. And that really changed my whole playing. I've always been kind of a more... I try not to be a boring rock drummer. I try to be like, I try to picture if I was in the audience, what do I want to see?
Right.
I don't want to see some
Yes.
guy up there with a waiting on the bus look, playing, give me a show. So,
Staring at your shoes type of thing. Yeah.
totally. So Dave, really, 8 years with him was man, it was awesome.
Right. Let's go back to the start. What little Ray Luzier back when he started off?
Little Ray.
When he's in the Kiss Army.
Dude, yeah, it was. I'm still a Kiss freak, man. I think if it wasn't, people love Kiss or they hate them. It's like, it's whatever. Music is just music, and entertainment is entertainment. It's
Right.
not for everybody. That's why we have our favorite bands. That's why But to be honest, when you grow up on 118 acres in the middle of nowhere, you only see what's on the cover of magazines. And
Right.
you don't have buddies dropping over saying, "Hey, listen to this." So I saw Kiss. They were on the cover of 16 magazine to Hit Parade to every rock. So I guess they're the best band in the world. I might as well buy their records, and I got hooked bad, man.
Right.
So dressing up like Gene and Peter and just every Halloween, and I wasn't just listening to them. I would stare at the album covers, and I got obsessed with Kiss. It was really weird,
Yeah.
But of course, I was listening to Rush and Ozzy and Ted Nugent and Deep Purple around this, but one of the main reasons I picked these up
Right.
was because of Peter Criss.
Peter Criss.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. Yeah. So once you started, you were self-taught at first, right? So you
completely, yeah.
And then you started going out and playing locally in Pittsburgh and stuff. What made you push to go to LA?
Well, the first thing I did was, at the time I had LPs, and I would just steal my sister's records, whether it be Devo or whatever,
Right.
Back in Black to you name it, and I would put them on cassette, and I would run to my room and just play along with them. I didn't know what I was doing. I found a cassette tape of me when I was like 9, playing along with Physical Graffiti,
Wow.
one of my favorite Zeppelin records of
Yeah.
all time, and that was amazing because you could tell my heart was there. I didn't know what I was doing, but you could hear the development going on. You could hear the song structures, me trying to figure out the parts coming up against.
Right.
So it's kind of cool. All these years later, being a professional for over 25 years now, and hearing that. But I'm gonna sell on eBay someday for like $3. But I self-taught myself just playing over and over again. Then in the high school band, they started teaching me what a quarter note was.
Right.
And then in end of junior high, I put on a marching drum and started getting my rudiments together. That's my first time with a band instructor. And then I'd play in the jazz band, and then I'd play crash cymbals and timpani and the symphonic, and all this stuff was outside the rock world. So I'd go home and shed on my drums with all my favorite records, and then when I get to the school, I learned discipline and counting 32 bars, waiting for a crash cymbal. You're like,
Right.
because when you're young, you just want to rock out. You don't know the patience game yet.
Right.
So that was the whole, what made me want to go to LA, my guitar player was from Mount Pleasant. And we started a rock band around the age of 14, 15. And Paul Gilbert from Greensburg, from Mr. Big, Racer X, phenomenal guitar player. Like Poison, Rat, all these bands were coming out of Pittsburgh. And he's like, man, we got to go to LA. I'm like, yeah, but New York's right there. It's so close. He's like, I'm telling you, there's a school called Musicians Institute. And we're going to go to it. And I'm thinking, I can't go to a music school. I'm a rocker. I'm a metalhead. I don't know how to read that well. I don't know what a samba is, a jazz, and anything. So he waited a year until I graduated, and writes 2 months later, we passed the audition test. I didn't think I would pass. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to pass this test. There's all this, and I did, and we got accepted to the school. 2 months later, I loaded up. I had a church maxi wagon Dodge van. We gutted it, 15 passenger. We had kick drums and Marshall amps hanging out. The van was like this the whole way across America. It broke down 3 times. The full blown story. My parents came out with us. It was awesome. It was like,
so you drove the 3,000 miles right across?
2,600 miles the whole way across the states with just a mission, like we're doing this, And we went to the school, and I got my ass kicked, to say the least, in a great way.
Yeah.
Because I had Ralph Humphrey, Joe Porcaro, Casey Sherrill, Richie Garcia, Chuck Flores. I mean, the list was insane. Wow. The staff at the time, and come on, you got Frank Zappa's drummer teaching you odd time. It's like, I didn't know what 1 2 1 2 3 was. I didn't know all that stuff. I was just trying to feel it. I was a field player.
Right.
So I still went in there like, hair spiked up, Target shirt on, I'm twirling and like, check me out. I just thought, because I was, yeah, that's great, that little like ensemble figure you played in the big band, but what's this fill? I was young and naive, like most people at that time.
Yeah.
And I still go back and look at the curriculum, and I was a teacher there for 10 years, so that really helped me out, and then my guitar player ended up not liking LA too much, and I always told my parents, as long as I'm working in Los Angeles as a musician, I'll stay out there. And It's been almost 25 years now.
Was that hard to get in there, working out there, and get the connections going?
Very hard, because the Sunset Strip was just at the end, and I was a rock metalhead, so all of a sudden Nirvana came out.
And it just died.
It just died. The whole strip died, and I'm like, wait a minute, I just got into this. Now what? I put a flannel shirt on and don't take a bath for a week. And now we're like, So the scene changed so drastically that it was kind of scary, but I knew my focus, I just never ever let up. And as many people said, go get another job, go do something else. I knew I was going to do this till the day I died, whether I was rich, poor, known, unknown, I didn't really care.
You had the drive.
Never, and the fire never went out. It still doesn't go out.
Right.
And I'm 42, so it gets depressing at times. It does. I'll admit.
Right.
I mean, there's times where I was like, calling my mom, bawling out like a little baby, going, "I'm coming home. I can't stand it anymore." When you can't pay your phone bill, and you're promised this, the carrot's dangling in front of you, and they're like promising you money, and then all the record labels are hyped up on you, and then we're gonna pass.
Pull the carpet out from under you,
And you're just like starving, going, please give me a shot, So that's the hardest thing, is breaking in. I knew I had the potential. You never stop learning. I still have a lot to learn. I'm still practicing. There's a lot of stuff I can't do, but that's the beauty of playing. You always get better, and you can strive and get. There's no such thing as best drummers.
Yeah.
I don't care if you play one beat. If you move me emotionally with that beat, I'm in. I don't care how technical you are, how fast you can play 64th notes on your feet. I don't care.
That's the beauty of your style of playing, though. You have the technique, but you can also just do the 2 and 4, and you have that feel there.
Yeah. And pay the bills. I mean, that's like...
That's exactly it.
I did 3 sets of disco for I don't know how many years, in the mid-'90s, around tours. Like, I'd get off a Jakey Lee tour or something, and I'd go play disco and play covers, and I'd go back on a major tour, and I'm not too proud, It's like...
It's like you say, whatever pays the bills.
Yep, exactly. And I was just in heaven, because we were playing Ultimate Sin, we were playing Badlands songs, and a bunch of new songs.
Exactly, the guitarist.
Heck, man. So that was my first official tour. And then I finished with Jake after about 3 years, and my buddy was in a band called Arcade, who had Fred Coury from Cinderella and Stephen Pearcy from Rat singing. And I guess Fred bailed at the end of one of their tours, and he said, "Can you fill in?" So now I filled in 2.5 months for the end of Arcade tour. So I was just trying to get anything I could. Then I became a diehard session player. I would just play on people's demos, records, soundtracks, anything. And I was making a decent living. This is like mid-'90s. And the more I do this, the more all I ask the artist is give me a copy of the finished product if I do 2 songs in a record. Well, this kid, Mike Hartman, was working with David Lee Roth, and he asked me to play. Me and Greg Bissonette shared the record with him, and I'm a big Bissonette fan. And he said, "Hey man, good news. You know, we went to Steve Vai's house and we recorded these songs." And he goes, "Good news. I'm working with David Lee Roth." And he was like this little young kid at the time. I didn't know if I believed him. I was like, "You're not working with David Lee Roth, you know?" And he's like, "Yeah." And the better news is he likes your playing on these songs, and he wants you to come back, and because we cut them as an instrumental song.
All right.
He said, "We're going to cut them as vocal songs." So I'm like, this is one of my dreams in life. I've had Dave hanging on my wall since I was 10 in West Newton, just to meet the guy, let alone to be in a band with him. Right. So I went down, did the 2 songs again with Dave, and there's Dave behind the console and giving me orders and "Hey kid, like, just keep it up, man," you know. And next thing you know, I thought, I did the 2 songs, but he was asking me a lot of questions. What if I ask you to do this and play me a shuffle and play me that? And I'm like, this is kind of weird. I'm playing all this stuff in the studio with headphones on, and he asked a lot of questions, but hey, he's Diamond Dave. He can do what he wants. So I get home and I was all happy, like, man, I played on 2 songs with David Lee Roth. I can die, not really, but And the guy, yeah, totally, And the manager calls me the next day. He goes, "Hey, you passed." I'm like, "Passed what?" He goes, "That was your audition yesterday." I'm like, that's why he's asking all those questions. And I was really relaxed because
you didn't know.
I didn't know
what the pressure was or anything. Yeah.
And I didn't care. I just was playing. So I think if I'd have known it was an audition, I'd have been way more nervous because I respect God. He plays with some of the top musicians in the world.
Right.
And that was bizarre. Next thing you know, I'm on a giant world tour with him, doing these festivals, and I'm opening up with Hot for Teacher, something that I played in my underwear in Pittsburgh when I was 12. Now I'm playing it with David Lee Roth. It was insane.
To my class. It's because all the other curriculums were a little too goddamn boring for you, huh, baby? Yeah, a little attention deficit, baby. So let's have a little recess.
Dude, nobody plays Hot for Teacher like you. Not even Alex Van Halen.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
Can you give us a little intro there on the pad?
On the pad? Wow, that'd be hard. Well, I cheat. I do the hand thing. I go. And I mix the feet in and go. Pause. Yeah. Well, it's hard on the floor. So I do the shuffle.
Right.
And then, so you're going to stick around for the clinic, right? I'm going to play today, yeah. But it's, some people start with their feet, some people, it's whatever you want. Bissonette plays it totally different than I do, but it sounds great. We all have our interpretations, I think for so many years of trying to figure out other people's music, you come up with stuff that sounds the way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, when people buy your records, they don't care if you started with your left hand, your right hand, whatever. How's it sound? How's it make you feel?
Right.
That's the most important,
So do you are you left-handed or right-handed? Because I see you play open.
I try to play both. I started left hand. I saw the dude from the Beach Boys. His hi-hats were way out here, and he's doing this like straight ahead thing. And for 2 or 3 years when I started, my hi-hats were way over here. I could barely touch the foot. And somebody come over to my house and like, "You're right hand, you're supposed to cross over." And I'm like, weird. So I pulled the hi-hat over, and so I actually started that way. And but I'm definitely right-handed. You know,
Right.
I used to have the mirror kit with the hi-hats and the whatever. It's like,
Both sides.
yeah, that's, you know, that didn't last too long. But I love playing the open-handed with Korn and like heavier bands because I just love the openness feel of it.
Yeah, the power.
The power of it, you know. And when I do a lot of ghosting and a lot of shuffles and stuff, I always cross over.
back over
I have a
that.
way better hand. There's cats like Simon Phillips and others that can play ambidextrous. They're amazing both ways. I'm not. I have to cross over.
Carter
But-
Buford. And
yeah, totally. But I love the openness of the open hand thing, you know.
Right.
There's just something about it, and it sounds different too, you know.
Are you ready? Chances, places on my brain, and the time to say, you don't know the chances.
Some producers in the studio will know when I'm playing open-handed, when I'm not, the way the snare drum sounds. You have to be real consistent.
On hitting the beat.
If you're going to switch around like that, there's certain twangs. If you're hitting the snare drum back here with your left hand, you're hitting the back here with your right, it's going to have a different sound to it. So
Yes.
you don't realize that until you're in the studio and under a microscope, and then it's, you know, so you got to
Yeah.
be careful with that, you know.
Yeah, so after David Lee Roth, Army of Anyone was next, right? Or was Goated?
Goated was in between all this. Tracy
Right.
G and I have been buddies. We played in a band called World War III for literally weeks in 1991. I got the gig, and then I didn't have the gig, and then Mickey D had it, who's now in Motorhead, and we were going back and forth, and then the band just broke up. Hollywood Records dropped them, and now they're no longer. So me and Tracy's always like, man, I want to work with you. We got to do some stuff. So through the years, I've done Tracy solo records, Goated, a band called Driven with him, all these different bands. So he's just a great, phenomenal guitar player.
Yeah.
Two of my favorite Dio records are the two that he's on. You know,
Right.
the Strange Highways CD is one of my favorite rock metal CDs of all time. If you get Drummers Don't Have Strange Highways, Vinny Appice on there is unbelievable.
He is,
Check it.
yeah.
Oh man. So anyway, but Tracy's phenomenal, and I've had all these little side projects going on in the meantime. Mark Ferrari, the guy used to be in Keel and Cold Sweat. I have a side band called Medicine Wheel with him. I did 3 records. You know what I mean? Just trying to keep it going, and I try to keep anything I can get work-wise. you know?
Right.
So, you know, David Lee Roth served its time for me. Like, it was time. I found myself playing the same Van Halen songs. My dream with him was to do another Eat 'Em and Smile record. I wanted to
Right.
hit people over the head, and we kept doing like a cover record, and it would do we did the LR band, but it was very rushed, and it was, I don't know, my whole goal was to grow as a musician and as a band.
Right, and you were just kind of going in
We
circles.
were playing it,
Right.
and I love Jump and Hot for Teacher and all the greatest hits. It was awesome, but after 8 years, I found myself not growing musically.
Which you played them 4,000 times. It's kind
Totally,
of,
and it's like, man, and I love the guy to death, and I would play on his record tonight if I could. I mean, he's awesome, but I was looking for the door. Somebody, you know, if I could find a gig or something. I played the NAMM show in 2005 with Billy Sheehan and Toshi Iketa, who was in the David Lee Roth band with me. Phenomenal guitar player, phenomenal bass player. I found out on the same night Steve Ferrone was playing with Robert and Dean DeLeo, 2 of my favorite songwriters and performers of all time.
Right.
STP is insane. They're so beautiful the way they write.
You filled in with STP as well.
I did. Yeah, Eric Kretz's dad unfortunately passed away, and I got a call, which I was very touched. Very emotional, very bittersweet thing, because here I am in front of 40,000 people playing STP with Scott Weiland, but yet no one cared who I was. I didn't care who I was at that point. I was merely trying to do their gig justice. I was trying to give STP, I have to make it sound like this, because no one gives a crap about, you know what I mean, who's sitting back there. It wasn't like Ray Luzier's filling in, and no one cared. I didn't care. It was about really trying to get the groove of Eric, because there's such a beauty about his simplicity, and he has a really good pocket, and So, and we're totally different drummers. So,
Yes.
so for me to fit into that was a big challenge, you know. But I had a blast, man. So,
Yeah.
so anyway, Robert and Dean were at the show. They were watching sound check, and they were sitting back there like, and I'm thinking, oh, they hate us because we're shredding. I mean, we're playing in 7 and 15, 12. And I'm thinking, man, and Robert goes, hey, man, what are you doing right now? And I'm like, oh, man, I'm an honor to meet you. This is, I was like, I don't get starstruck over many people. These guys are like, and he's like, we're putting a new band together with Richard Patrick from Filter. And my mouth just, I mean, I'm a huge Filter fan, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, what a combo. This is awesome, you know. I go, please, let me audition, please. They go, oh, you're going to audition. So that was it. I went down and learned the 6 songs they gave me. But then I know they're Zeppelin heads. So I think we played almost the entire Physical Graffiti album. And I went to the bathroom and I come back and they had smiles on their face. You got the gig. I'm like, can we play the song, Army of Anyone songs?
Yeah.
We need. So yeah, still to this day, one of my most proudest records I'm on and experiences.
I love that record.
Thank you.
It got me back into playing drums. I'd kind of retired
No
for
way.
a while, and it was like I heard Goodbye,
Yeah.
and I heard the fills in that.
Come on.
It got me, give me the
Thanks,
itch again
bro.
to play.
That's
again,
very cool of you to say.
Yeah. So after Army of Anyone, it just kind of just the one record and one and done with Army of
We
Anyone.
wanted to keep it going, and then you know how it is in music business, how the wicked turns. It took all these wacky turns, and people were stealing music, and you can blame it on promotion. You can blame it on the. At the end of the day, I don't know what happened. I mean, it was one of those things where within a month, Scott Weiland left Velvet Revolver, joined SDP. Richard put Filter back together. I joined Korn, all with literally in 4 or 5 weeks span. It was kind of because my manager called me up, same manager, Army of Anyone as Korn, and I was asking about like, hey, there's a lot of I was like, what's going on with Korn? They had like Bozio playing on the record, Brooks. They had Joey filling on the tour. They had Mike Gordon filling in. All these great drummers. I'm like, what is going on with them?
It's kind of like a revolving door with them there for a while, right?
Yeah, and as much as I didn't want to see Army of Anyone end, it was inevitable that it was going to. So now I'm thinking, man, I wanted to be with these guys for 10 years. You know, I saw it. I wanted us to grow as a band. You know, see, we already started writing record 2, and it was, you know.
How far into it did you get?
We got some really good songs.
Really?
People ask me almost daily via email, when's the next Army of It? Please say you're going to do another Army of Anyone record. I'm like, we sold 190,000 copies. Where were you guys when when it got released? You know.
Yeah.
But hey, whatever. I mean, the fact that people appreciate it to me is all. Sometimes in my clinics, I'll hand out copies of it just because I want people to hear it that never heard it before.
Yeah.
Same thing. They'll call me, hey, or email. You know.
So then after that, you got the call for Korn?
I did. Well, I knew they were having trouble, and Joey was going back to Slipknot. He was just helping them out, fill in for the Family Values 2007 tour. And the manager said, you should check out Korn. And I'm like, I don't have sleeve tattoos, I don't have dreadlocks. And he's like, neither did the original drummer. He had shaved head, and he was looking, you know, I'm like, yeah, you're right. He didn't look anything like him. So next thing you know, I found myself going, man, I would love to play that kind of. I love the funky hip hop metal feel it has, because it's not like rah, 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 Cookie Monster vocals every night. And it's different.
It is.
It's its own sound. There is no. I don't call it new metal. I don't call it heavy. I just call it Korn. It's what
Korn
metal. We sound like. Yeah. And so, I mean, they messed everybody up. When that first record, I'll never forget the first time I heard Blind. It's just like, I was like, what is that guitar tuned to? And then Jonathan comes in, I'm like, are you kidding me?
Still get chills, you hear that bell?
To this day, in 2013, the crowd, whether we're playing in front of 500 or 60,000 people, it goes off every time. So, I found myself really sinking into it. Before I even know I had an audition, I was like, I found myself, I had, of course, almost all the Korn records, and I loved the Untitled with Bozio on it. I love Korn, he's one of my favorite drummers. And I was like, man, I hope they're playing a lot of this stuff. Now, and then I started picturing myself in the band at my rehearsal space. And I was like starting to hit really hard, and I was like, I want this gig. I want this gig. And I started, the more I get into it, the more I started feeling what's going on. It doesn't matter how much technical ability you have, it doesn't matter. You either get a certain gig or you don't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's pocket gigs out there that people just do for money. There's certain gigs that have a certain flavor you have to have, you know, and Korn's one of the, you don't just slip into Korn. You don't just stick a drummer into that band.
No, it has to be the right. And it goes back to what I said earlier about your style. You've got technique, but you also have that groove, that deep groove, and I think that's what helped with that for you. You know what I mean?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. It's, you know, it comes to the thing where you most of my money I ever made was playing 4 on the floor, and you know what I mean. It's like to be in a band, a fancy band or a metal band that like is making a good living is hard these days.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. You can, but it's a very small percentage of people making a great living playing drums. You know, I'm fortunate to have a good gig like Korn, and they're all about the music. You know, all the party days, everything's in the past. It's all about families and music, and you know, it's just a great thing. You know, so.
Yeah.
But getting back to what I was saying, I started learning a lot of songs. So when I went up, Joey's tour was ending, and my manager called me and says, hey, why don't you go up? It's his last show in Seattle. Why don't you fly up there, play a couple songs with the guys and see what happens? And I said, okay. And I was in the middle of a clinic tour.
Right.
So I made a stop over to Seattle. I show up, empty arena, it's noon, no one's there. Hum of the PA, I have this really bad rental kit that I'm playing in front of Joey's, and you can watch it on YouTube now. Everything's on YouTube. I didn't even know I was being filmed. So, and that was it.
Thanks, man. That was great. I did the tricks like I saw a video. I like how you do this. Cool, man. Fieldy and Zach want to just tell you, great job. And I'd love to take you to Europe. Awesome, man.
You got the job, man.
Appreciate it, bro. Thanks, man.
We normally talk it over dinner, but hey, man, I mean, that was pretty much in the bag.
I appreciate that, man.
Zach,
that was killer.
Thanks, Zach.
I learned, Monkey comes out and he goes, what do you know? And I said, I handed him like 33 songs. He goes, you know all these? I'm like, kinda. I could probably get through them. And so we just started playing. And, you know.
How much of a time span did you have to learn those 33 songs? Did you cram for it, or did you?
Well, when the manager said you should check out that gig, this was a few weeks before.
Right.
And I just started listening to it, going, I can picture me playing this, and wow, this groove's really crazy, but I can picture this. And my thing was, I was hoping they'd let me be Ray Luzier in this band, because when you get hired for such a big band that sold so many records, won Grammys, a lot of times they're like, hey, you're the hired gun, play like the record. And that's it. Right. Which I understand. There's a lot of bands like that. That's fine. When I got hired, they said, we want you in this band. We hired you because we want your flavor, that blew me away. That means a lot.
That's great.
As a musician and as a drummer, you know. So,
and I love what you've done with some of the older songs, even like Blind and Freak on a Leash, and the stops that you put in there that weren't in there before.
Yeah.
Were they your idea?
Not really. I mean, they were doing some of that stuff with Joey. I mean, they wanted to change it up a little bit with Joey, so we just kind of went over, you know, messed with it and changed some things, went back to other ways. You know, they played it so many times that sometimes it's refreshing. You know?
Right.
So, but that was it, and I played 6 songs, and they said we're going to go to lunch and talk it over, and usually that means you didn't get the gig.
We'll see you. Don't call us, we'll call you.
Right. Yeah. So I was like, oh man. And then next thing you know, camera in my face. You got the gig. We'll see you in Dublin.
Okay. So you 6 years with Korn, and you're just doing the new record now.
We're doing the new record. We just finished 20 songs tracking. did the drums at the famous NRG Studios in North Hollywood. Great drum room, and we have our own studio in Bakersfield. So we just started writing, again, and went back to like everyone keeps asking me what it's like, and it's heavy, it's modern, it's just kind of there's a new energy about it. It's kind of strange.
Right.
It's like this is the 11th studio record for Korn, so after a while, certain bands, it's what to expect when you get a new AC/DC, when you get a new Iron Maiden, and they have this formula that works and the fans love it. So hey, they're gonna keep bringing it.
Yeah.
Korn's not really like that. The last record, Path of Totality, was totally different.
Yeah.
We had dubstep artists on there. We went a completely different avenue with it.
Not much drumming on that one.
No, it's very, very straight. You had to play for the song. It was
Right.
very, you couldn't play fancy fills on that. You couldn't.
Right.
There's no reason, So it's that electronica feel.
Right.
Korn 3, complete opposite. 2-inch tape.
Yeah.
Just let's get everyone in a room and write and see what happens. Track everything fresh and don't
Totally
fix
grungy,
mistakes.
yeah.
So this one, has. My point is it's great that I feel happy to be in a band that you don't know where it's going to go.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's still a Korn record. You might piss some fans off. You might gain some new ones.
Right,
That's what it's all about. I mean, the diehards always stick with Korn, which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
There's people showing up, and this is show number 57. I'm like, 50. If Zeppelin came back from the dead, I don't think I'd see him 57 times. Like, how really? Like, unreal. So, bottom, I meant to say. It's one of those things where, it's cool to. It keeps you fresh, keeps you on your toes.
Right.
And now I love picking from the set list because it's just so many old songs I love. There's middles of their career, and now the new ones, of course, I'm on. I love to play. So
have you a favorite song every night in your set that you're looking forward to? This is the song, man. Tonight, I love this.
Our set changes so much. On the first tour used to be Ever Be off the Untitled record. I used to love that because there's Bozio played drums on it. And I loved making my own version of that.
Yeah.
But Here to Stay is just one of the heaviest riffs on the planet. So to me, the groove is very simple, but it's such. When that song kicks in, it's just like coming through a PA at a million decibels. It's just, you're watching people's face. I love that. Of course, Blind has that energy that,
Of course, yeah.
unsurpassed. But I don't know. I love. We played Oildale a couple years ago. That's one of my favorites, and that's such a weird groove.
It is,
that
yeah.
we made up, and I playing it live is so weird to me. So I love it.
So apart from Korn, have you any other projects that you're doing right now?
Yes, a brand new band called KXM with George Lynch from Dokken and Lynch Mob,
Right.
and Doug Pinnick from King's X,
King's
which
X.
is one of my favorite bands
Yeah.
of all times. If you don't have King's X records, go buy them all tonight.
Yes.
Unreal.
I saw them in the Key Club about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He's got so much soul, and
Yeah.
I always said, like, whatever people call it, bucket list or whatever. Before I die, I have to be on a record with Doug Pinnick, and whether it's tambourine or whatever, So it's a dream for me to get in a room and sometimes when you get three musicians like that in the room, it sounds like a good idea, and it's not. This was a better idea. I mean, the album come out so good. I'm really proud of it. So that'll be out later, and probably towards fall.
Towards fall.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm working on a side project with Billy Sheehan. It's just a drum and bass record. We've been talking about it for 7-8 years now.
Drum and bass.
I'm on his last two solo rerecords, Cosmic Troubadour and Holy Cow.
Holy Cow, yeah, I have them both. They're good.
Love working with Billy. He's one of my favorite musicians to play with ever. And he just comes over to my house in my small studio in the valley and just like, hey, let's work on this. And we tape this obscure, insane stuff and he plays with some of the world's top drummers. So
yeah.
At first it was intimidating to play with him because he knows every little thing.
One of the world's top drummers, just like yourself.
Come on. But you know what I mean, like, thank you, but not, I don't look at myself as anything, just more than glad to be a part of the scene, out there. And people appreciate my music, great, If you don't listen. No, I'm just kidding. But it's one of those things where you never stop learning. That's the beauty of music, in musician. I always tell musicians, if you get to a point where you're like, I'm good, I don't need to practice anymore, you should maybe go do something else and just play on the weekends and have fun with it, because I have light years of stuff to learn. I'm learning stuff every single day when I watch a young band, a veteran band, if I watch, Journey to the Eagles, whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
music is music, and that's what's beautiful about it. Like till the day you die. I mean, there's
It's constantly evolving.
yeah, and the flame never went out for me. It burns brighter than ever now. You know?
That's
I
great,
thought at 42 it might dwindle down. The business part of it sucks a lot of times. The music
Right.
business sucks, but the music never. You always have to remind yourself. If you ever get frustrated, remind yourself why you picked these things up for the first time, why
it.
you picked that guitar up, how it made you feel. That's what it's all about. It's not about how much money you're gonna make on this tour, or how much it's, you know what I'm saying, your popularity, your fame. None of that matters. It's all about your inner happiness and being. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's great words to live by.
Yeah.
Great words to live by. So where can we follow you if we need to?
I got my Twitter
If you want to
page.
stalk you, no, I'm
Stalk
kidding.
me, yes, please. No, Ray Luzier 1 on my Twitter.
What's your
Ray
Twitter?
Luzier 1 is my
Okay.
official one. You see the little official mark on there. There's a couple of Ray Luzier posters out there. I don't know why. Not that flattering. I have a Facebook page, but it's maxed. I'm working on a private one right now, so that can become the fan page. So
Right.
sorry if I haven't accepted you. I thought it was like MySpace when Facebook fired up. I just accepted everybody.
Right.
Who am I to say no to a Korn fan or whatever, you know? So that RayLuzier.com, obviously, it's just a small little website that has my discography, my gear setup, brief stuff. It's not an involved website. I'm going to work on something to offer lessons pretty soon. I have so much curriculum I wrote in my years of PIT teaching there that I got to get it out, you know. So I'm going to offer some lessons probably in the next year on there,
Right.
like little 6-minute, 8-minute lessons to people.
And any idea for maybe another DVD?
They keep beating me up about it. I just don't have the time, you know. It's like in these days, I mean, it's funny. Like who gets up and pops a DVD in the player anymore? You know,
No,
you do. Me too, bro. Me and you. We're the only ones left. But you know what I'm saying? Everyone's on YouTube now, and
Right,
it's
yeah.
free, and it's like so. I'd like to do it. There's some buddies of mine, like Todd Zuckerman, and some people have some really nice classic.
Yeah.
And they took so much time, and it's amazing. You know, I just don't know if Korn takes some time off in the future. Maybe I'll do it. You know,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's great, man. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for having
me. I'm Kenny. Ray Luzier. Good night, everybody.
See ya.